The biggest thing is that we need to talk to our customers to understand from their perspective. What are they feeling? What are they thinking? What are their goals, their bigger ones, and putting context. It's one thing to watch metrics around, customer behavior and guess or assume.
Welcome to a brand new episode of Engati CX. I'm your host, Kimberly, and we're really excited to have all of you join us today. On this show, we talk to CX and technology experts from around the world. We explore, uncover, and share fresh insights on creating experiences that your customers will remember and look forward to. Engati is the world's leading multilingual, no-code digital CX platform available across 15 channels with 53,000 solutions created across 186 countries in every domain and use case. Engati has also been recognized as the top platform by Inc. magazine, Tech World, CIO magazine, and many others. Engati recently also won the Cody 2021 award for being the best AI-driven technology solution. We run the Engati blog, the video channel, the Engati CX podcast, receiving upwards of 500,000 visitors annually. And now for today's guest. We have Anita Toth with us today on the show. She is the Chief Churn Crusher at Anita Toth Inc, her consultancy agency. Anita uses her 20 plus years of qualitative research experience from two world-class universities to guide B2B SaaS companies to crush their churn and increase their net profits from the bottom. We welcome you to the show, Anita. It is really glad to have you join us today.
Oh, I'm excited to be here, Kimberly. Thanks for having me. We're going to have a great discussion.
That I am definitely sure of. Before we dive into our interview with Anita, don't forget to subscribe to Engati and tap the bell icon so that you get access to exclusive content coming from thought leaders from around the world. Well, once again, Anita, it's really nice to have you on board and kind of touch into all the insights that you're going to share with us today. Starting with my first question, and probably the icebreaker question, is how expensive is churn to a company and why retention is the key to growing profitability here?
Oh, so big question, simple answer. It comes down to just how expensive acquisition costs are. We know just at the outset, 6 to 7 times more to acquire a new customer than to retain one. And then on top of that, you have rising customer acquisition costs, which means that as customer acquisition costs go up, it starts making very much sense to look at the retention side and realize there's huge opportunity for growth there. You've already acquired these customers, and customers who are loyal, they will spend up to 25, 35, 45% more. It depends on your industry. You've already done the hard work to get them. Now just put some work in to have them stay. So every customer that leaves, what you have to do is acquire a new customer to replace them. You've got to, get that revenue back that's now gone as well, like the immediate revenue. But the one thing that people don't think about is that you also have to replace future lost revenue opportunities. So every customer that leaves takes with them the opportunity to upsell to them, to cross-sell, for renewals, for referrals, and positive word of mouth marketing. And just those future opportunities alone can be worth as much as 2 times your current customer lifetime value, like 2 times, double. So that's walking out the door every time one of your customers leaves. And that's why it's critical. And I know it's a challenge to, move from being so acquisition focused to now having a better balance of acquisition and retention as both as growth levers.
Awesome. This was indeed a very nice breakthrough that you've given to as to comparing and having a balance between acquisition and retention. We've come across this term called as voluntary and involuntary churn. Would you mind to actually tell us the difference and how can we actually reduce and prevent the same?
Absolutely. So voluntary churn is when a customer chooses to leave. They have decided to walk out the door for whatever reason. Involuntary churn is mostly credit card failures. So I've had it happen. My credit card's expired. Next thing I know, I don't have access to the product anymore. That is considered involuntary churn. And there are specific things. I'm sure you're going to ask me this question,
Yeah.
but what we can do about it. So I'll wait to go into that once we get there. But that's what involuntary churn is. And it can be up to 40% of your entire churn rate. It can be high. So lots of opportunity to just put a few things, which we'll talk about, in place to retain those customers longer.
Yes, of course. I mean, we're definitely super curious to know how can we actually prevent this. I mean, from a business standpoint, like you said, 40% is a huge percent of it actually, of the tendency of businesses losing this. Can you just tell us how can we prevent this?
Absolutely. So it's something called dunning management. That's the proper term for it. So these are the emails that go out once a customer has involuntarily churned. And it's just trying to get them to update their credit card information or contact you so you can find out, what happened and get them back up and subscribing quickly. That's very reactive. The proactive part, though, is using about a month or so out. You don't want to go too far out, but having a system that identifies credit cards that are close to expiring and reaching out to customers. One of the best ways to do it is in-app, especially if they're using the tool frequently. Just have a little pop-up come up, let them know. They can enter their details, and then their subscription, stays continuous. So really great opportunities. Test, right? Because this is very general. So your customers, maybe it's 6 weeks out if they're not in your product, really frequently. Just keep testing, play around with it, but you'll notice that a lot of your involuntary churn can be cut, sometimes by up to 50% very quickly, just by notifying customers that their credit card is about to expire and having them update their information.
Right. This is indeed something that businesses should start doing. Would you like to express a little more in detail as to how can you actually prevent this from happening or reaching to that stage of an involuntary churn?
So that would be it, is reaching out to them ahead of time and letting them know their credit cards are going to expire. Now, there's so many different, credit card systems, and there's some areas in the world where there's going to be higher churn. So the other thing you can do is look to segment your customers. So again, we talk about, churn, and then, up to 40% can be involuntary, but within that involuntary churn, have a look and see, is it coming from a certain country? What can be done there? Is it the credit card system? Like there's something like 150 or even more than that codes that sometimes prevent transactions from going through. And so perhaps it's maybe just one particular country or region where the churn is really high. And then again, you've got to dig down. What can you do specifically for those particular customers to keep their subscription continuous?
Correct. Yes, you've definitely said it best. I'm sure the next question is something that you have gotten almost all the talks that you've given and all the articles that you've write. Can you give us some tips on a long-term customer retention?
Absolutely. So I've got to just say this right here, that it's a lot like losing weight. Reducing churn is a lot like losing weight. You're going to get really big gains or losses, however you want to look at it, in the beginning. And then after that, it's a lot of work to get that last little bit. So again, even with the involuntary churn we talked about, you put these measures in place and boom, you can, half within a couple of months. But then after that, it's going to take more work. So this is what you're looking at. Areas of opportunity really from post-sale onward. And that is, your onboarding is one of the clearest places to look. So it's watching user behavior. Is there a place where your customers just, a whole bunch of them just seem to stop the process? They don't continue on. Okay, find out why. Now, my big thing in crushing churn is actually talking to customers, not just through surveys. I mean, like you and I are talking here, get them on a call, have a conversation with them. Now, I do this formally. I come from an academic background. So this is formal qualitative research, formal customer interviews where we standardize questions. Then we do an analysis, and then we see with the reporting what can be done. It's the same process. If you can't hire an outside company, which some can't, then do it in-house, get a set of questions around that particular area that you're noticing along the customer journey. Okay, onboarding, we notice a whole bunch of drop-offs here. Why? Correct. Surveys, they don't work because you can't ask further questions. You can't probe the person. Whatever they write is what they write, and you're left trying to guess. So you're trying to build context. What's the story? What were they doing before? What were they thinking? What did they expect to happen? What actually happened? And then, they left. Well, why did they leave? What would get them to come back? Those are the types of things that you want to be digging at all along the customer journey, not just in onboarding, but pre-renewal, especially if you're on annual plans. You want to find out, we all do renewal forecasting, but 3-6 months in, find out, talk to them. Is something a little off that's going to threaten that renewal from happening? And it's different from working with, account managers or customer success managers where they're having conversations. Having a third party come in who is not, doesn't have an existing relationship already with that customer can really bring insights, because customers often feel then that they can open up a little more and sort of tell the truth. We all have our surface level answers and then the truth. Yes. And, having a third party come in who are experts at digging down to the truth can really get some valuable insights that helps with retaining customers longer.
Yes, just a follow-up to your question, right? I mean, like you've clearly mentioned that customer touch points is something that you really need to go back and kind of figure out, because, hey, I mean, survey forms, they are telling you, right? When you're asking for a feedback, they're just telling you something, but I'm sure there must be some truth that they are talking about to different clients or their peers, and you kind of have a different view, right? But when it comes to customer touch points, how do you take personalization for every customer? Do you see it as a challenge, or do you see something like a winning point for a customer, talking from a churn and retention point of view?
Right. The challenge with this question, of course, is we're talking like very broad. Enterprise is very different, high touch, very personalized, right down to self-serve, where there might not even be any sort of existing relationship with the customer. The best thing to do, and I'm going to go back to what I said before, talk to your customers and find out what it is for them. Does this type of personalization, let's say you want to test something, does this type of personalization work? Now, when you're first going out, you can try a survey and see if that works. If not, then talk to them. This is what we're looking to do. This is what we're looking to implement. Would this make a difference for you? Yes or no. Why? And what would make a difference? What would feel more personal for you? So because it's so broad, it's kind of tough to answer, but I will still come back to this same foundational piece, and that is you have to talk to your customers.
Yes. Thank you so much for actually drilling this into our heads that, hey, I mean, every solution starts with just talking to your customers and actually knowing what they're going through. Would just really like to touch upon the last question that we would really have is, what role does customer service really play here? Can you just give us some tips that we need to kind of focus on and sharpen, trying to avoid customer churn with customer service?
Right. Ooh, like this, you and I could just talk about this one thing. I think the biggest thing from customer service is realizing that there's two needs that customers have when they're reaching out to support and looking for help. One is a rational need. So this is my problem. But underneath that is an emotional need. I'm scared I won't get this done. I'm frustrated because I'm trying to do this and I can't. There might be, status involved, but, they sent money and now they feel like they're not getting value. The biggest thing is to speak to that emotional need and figure out what that is first. It's very easy when a customer is upset and angry to deal with that. But then what about the people that maybe aren't to that extreme, but there's something else going on? And you might solve their rational need, their immediate problem. But if they still don't feel like they're getting the proper support, or they're unable to do what they need to do, they're much more likely to churn. And so again, getting back to talking to the customers, but finding out, what are they trying to do and what that feeling is, because we make the decision to stay or churn, ready, on feelings. Feelings first, then we rationalize second. So that would be my biggest thing. Is this challenging to do? Sure, it is. But you can take courses to learn. I have a course that works with customer support on dealing with angry customers. And we focus on this because that's really what you need to solve, not just, what they came to you with, like that specific problem. And so, yeah, it really helps to be able to speak to those emotional needs. Then the rational comes with it. And if they really feel their emotional needs are taken care of, maybe they just wanted to be heard, they are much more likely to stay.
This is awesome. I will link the link to the course down below. I'm sure it's going to help really a lot of people watching this video. Thank you so much, Anita. Are there any other sound bites you'd like to leave our audience? Anything that we skipped? Anything that's golden to remember for customer churn?
I think the biggest thing is that we need to talk to our customers to understand from their perspective. What are they feeling? What are they thinking? What are their goals, their bigger ones, and putting context. It's one thing to watch metrics around, customer behavior and guess or assume. Mm-hmm. That's a really dangerous place to be because you don't know. Is it hard to, do these one-on-ones and discover things that maybe you don't want to discover? Absolutely. But this is actually where the gold is. It is sitting here. And you need to understand from their perspective. Surveys are great, for really general surface level. But if you're wanting to go deep and really make big changes and impact your churn rates, you got to talk to your customers face to face.
Yes, definitely. I mean, more than just talking to your customers, when you get their responses, it's better to even implement that and not just have it stored, but to really work on the product to, keep that up, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Anita, for giving us your time. Your insights were really valuable. And I know our audience is going to enjoy this interview as much as I did.
Thanks so much, Kimberly. I enjoyed it too.
Likewise, we'll be back again with a new episode and a brand new expert soon. So stay tuned and we'll see you around for the next one.